And welcome to a very special edition of Boost Boerne Business here on Boerne Radio, 103.9 FM. My name is Baron Wiley, and across the table from me, I can't believe it, I have Les Holland, my friend. I can't believe that you're here because we have a backstory.
We do. From the great city of San Antonio, which is the first city I loved growing up in Boerne. And I immensely was grateful for what you brought to the radio community in San Antonio. And then when you told me you were coming to Boerne, I thought, wow, all right, way to go. Boerne's going to get a benefit of this. And now we're sitting across the table from each other.
Finally.
Yeah.
Because you wrote a book.
I did. And
you were walking down the hallway just randomly here outside the studio, and I recognized you, and I go, Les, what are you doing here? And you go, I wrote a book. It's called Love is Holiness, Dare to Live It. Dr. Leslie Holland, PhD. Dr. Holland. I'm sorry, I should have called you Dr. Holland.
Sure.
But before we kind of get into this beautiful book, Love is Holiness, I got to ask you a few Boerne questions here.
Yeah. Well, first, before we skip ahead and then come back.
Okay.
It's a story-driven guide to the sacred journey of love. So the key to the book, Baron, as I was writing it, was recalling people's stories in their journey of love. So it becomes a page turner because of the stories which are there. And in a bit, we'll be talking about the stories and many of these stories out of Boerne.
And what I love, just to your point, you talk about HEB. You talk about everything. I can relate to all these things because you lived it here.
Yeah.
All right. But before we get to that, congratulations, you being from Boerne.
Thank you.
I think you got a lot of firsts in your family. And I'm just going to brag on you for a second. I just happen to know that class of 1972, Boerne Greyhound.
Yes.
You were the first class to move to the new high school, or the last class?
Mid-year, we moved from what was we call the old high school campus on Johns Road.
Yeah.
And to what we called then the new campus. It was a thrill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then not only that, but also the UIL recognized you for your state championship for what?
Yeah, thank you. Wow, had a great class, great teachers, many people mentored me and encouraged me. And so among that, I won the state championship in persuasive speaking.
Yeah, and I think as I understand, you were the second Boerneite to win state. Yeah. And the last one was in the 50s for jumping hurdles, according to Stan Leach.
Yeah, of course, Stan knows all the athletes. I know some of them from that era, and they're great folk.
And again, for your award, it was for speaking, and lo and behold, your calling was to be a pastor.
It was. I felt the urge to go deep with Christ when I was 11, 15. First Baptist Boerne was kind enough to let me begin to preach.
Wow.
And then the community as a whole kind of embraced that with various opportunities for me to speak. And there was two guys, Ed Schell, who was a speech teacher at Boerne, and Harold Alderman, who taught history. And one was a debate, one was persuasive speaking. They said, hey, why don't you step along with us? And then John Kircherville, who then was the FFA, Future Farmer for America's, our ag teacher. And I have so much respect for ranchers and farmers. My friends would quickly say, hey, Les is not a rancher, he's not a farmer. I just finished officiating a wedding down in South Texas on a relative's ranch, so I love that world, respect that world. But Mr. Kirchfield was kind enough to recruit me into FFA to do some speaking responsibilities with that work. So the Boerne High School was great nourishment for me.
I just learned that you said that the First Baptist Church let you preach for the first time.
Yeah.
I'm just going to take a wild guess. By chance, did you talk about love on your first time behind the pulpit?
You're good, Baron. Insightful. That was a risky one to go there. Yeah, for God so loved, So. Do
you remember what you spoke on?
Oh, yeah, John 3:16.
Yeah.
And it was, we find our place in life by finding ourselves in God's love and how we can love each other. I can't remember everything else I said.
That's okay.
For that, but I brought that.
Well, there's a whole book about it.
There we go.
So you can find it. Matter of fact, it's only 180-something pages long. Yeah. It's easy to read because they're all stories.
Exactly. I felt a stirring inside me. I retired a couple of years ago from full-time senior pastoral ministry.
You never retire, Les. I know that the ministry never stops, right?
It never stops, but I no longer have the organizational responsibilities of being a senior pastor. And it has been a thrilling time since I had a great adventure. It was a wonderful experience. I talk about some of that in the book. But then in this season of life, I felt a stewardship. I felt a sense of responsibility to get a story of what it all means. And for me, that came down to life is about love, and love is about relationships, and our happiness in life is in proportion to our capacity to give love and to receive love. And God, who is love, shows the way. So I've been privileged to walk beside thousands of people, basically on their journey of love, and the book is trying to capture a story-driven approach. It was only able, to, of course, to tell maybe 1/10% of all the stories that make this up. But they were the ones that I felt like could get at a way that a reader would say, hey, okay, all right, that makes sense. Or, yeah, that's where I am. Or, ooh, I'm glad to be thinking about that.
You mentioned John 3:16. That's the low-hanging fruit. Starts off real strong. For God so loved the world. And then as a pastor, I'm sure you've read 1 Corinthians 13 a few times in weddings. And
Is that in the New Testament?
that's what I understand. It's 1 Corinthians according to President Trump, all right?
Yeah. Matter of fact, my chapter 1 opens with that story about 1 Corinthians 13. I was officiating a wedding in Finchville, Kentucky, which was a dairy farming bedroom community between the capital of Frankfort, Kentucky, and the city of Louisville. A great community. Was there for 7 years. Anyway, leading a rehearsal. And the wedding singer, was in from nightclub life in Louisville. And as a part of the rehearsal, then I read the core of 1 Corinthians 13. And he went, wow, are you kidding? That's great stuff. I've never heard stuff so good like that. Can I use that? And I said, sure you can. Let me tell you where it comes from. It comes from the heart of God that was written into this chapter. And you can become a troubadour of God's love. As you sing or talk about 1 Corinthians 13, he says, thanks, man, I'm going to do that. So, love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. And it is the resiliency of love that holds our life together. And when we feel our life on kind of ebbing and waning away, there's more of that love resiliency that's wanting to kind of live out the promises that are found in places like 1 Corinthians 13.
Dr. Les Holland, author of Love is Holiness. I'm just going to say this right now. There's people listening right now that go, I don't know love. I've never been in love before.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I've been hurt, in fact.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
By love, and don't like that feeling. But there's hope.
Well, because love wins. If we will allow love to win. And so in the book, I talk about a pathway of how to recover from broken heart, broken loves. Not just romantic love, but romantic is part of that. But we can only really do romantic love right when we've learned friendship love. And we've learned the qualities of inner core faithfulness that love brings. But what's the bottom line of love is trust. So when we are hurt in the experience of love, it's because trust was broken. And so how do we rebuild a trust awareness? Forgiveness. Yes. Forgiveness is a choice. So I have a chapter in here about how to choose to forgive. And relationships get broken, so I have a chapter in here about love in reconciliation, how to rebuild these relationships. And Boerne is a place where we had a home place here for 55 years. Dad and mother owned a place like Kendall County Abstract Company for 50 years. Dad was an attorney in town. Mother was active in the community. I'm the youngest of 4 kids. My 3 older siblings were active here. And so Boerne...
Do you still have your home?
We don't. It's at 220 North School Street, but someone else owns it now. And lives
does it look a little different than when it...
Yeah, they're doing a beautiful job at the place. Beautiful job.
Okay, sorry about that.
But we're doing this recording right on Main Street, and I can go do the archaeological dig of who was here then, and those people were very influential about they doing their business life, their ethic life, how to work things through. How do you, when you make mistakes, how do you get forgiveness, and how do you work things out to go forward? In a small town, America, which Boerne certainly was when I was growing up, but it's still a beautiful kind of big town now. We have to learn how to get coffee and be in a relationship, go to the post office. We have votes. We disagree on issues, but we're going to be seeing each other. So we need to figure out how do we do this this friendship life in the community, and love shows a pathway for them.
On the back of the book, you get a nice review here from someone from the HEB Foundation.
Yes.
Let me just read a couple lines here.
Okay.
It says, in Les Holland's book, powerful and inspiring stories call us to discover the life-changing beauty of love, forgiveness, and reconciliation. With warmth, compassion, and wisdom, Les offers practical guidance and challenges us to expand our capacity to love ourselves, others, and God, transforming us and leading us to our deepest happiness and hope for our hurting world. I mean...
Wow. Deborah Butt Rogers was kind enough to do a pre-read of the book, and when she sent me that, I was just grateful, humbled, and then, wow, okay. I was hoping to get at some of that, but if she sees it, then okay, I'm grateful. Like the story of HEB begins in Kerrville, Texas. Mm-hmm. And the matriarch of the family, she moved the family to Kerrville because her husband was sick, Charles was sick. And they bought this old kind of mercantile store. She finds a Bible as she's sweeping the place to trying to get it ready, sees the Bible, gets on her knees, he prays, he commits the store to the Lord. And then it's a story of how the Butt family in a growing corporation has tried to stay true to those same values all along the way. So Howard Butt Jr. Had the privilege of being his pastor at Trinity Baptist Church in San Antonio, and Barbara Dan's pastor. And
did you get a discount at Lady Lodge?
Well, they asked me to go speak at Lady Lodge, and had some fun experiences while we were there. Yeah, that was all cool.
But look what they built.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Out of the experience of just, you trust God with your first step going in the right direction, and then God will take you to the next step in the right direction, the next step, and the next step. So we can't know all of where it's going to lead, but if we're headed in that promised direction, then it's going to be good stuff.
Amen. Amen.
And I'll tell another story in there about Fully Klingman, who was just a great leader in HEB, working with Charles, currently is the overhead of the organization. Anyway, Fully did a great job in how to lead through the principles of love. And so I include some of those principles in the book.
Les Holland, you talked about growing up in Boerne, and if you could go up and down Main Street in 1972, what was that like for you?
Well, it was a lot of, hi, how's it going? Gosh, it's good to see you. How have things been? And so you could pop into like the Votes store, which is right across the street from where we are. This was a Ford dealership where the Richter building is. Mr. and Ms. Hillman's place they were the photographers and the jewelers in town. They were to our left just a bit. Mr. Adler was running the Western Auto Store, which is immediately to our south of where we are right now. Mm-hmm. Robert's Drugstore, and then you go down where Ebner's drugstore was. So those were all kind of meeting places and gathering places, and there were some fun kind of cafes and diners to be here. Yeah. And then you just kind of keep on spreading out and down Main Street, and was a lot of those howdies. so much wherever I've been able to fortunately live in different places or travel parts of the world, and my kids will just kid me by saying, "Dad, this is not in Boerne. You don't have to wave at everybody."
But that's what's so great about us.
It is, absolutely. And I'm glad that's a part of Boerne that I haven't wanted to lose and never have lost, because it was that kind of experience in growing up.
I had a full-on conversation standing in line at the pharmacy at HEB with the guy I didn't know, just because he was wearing a Masters T-shirt. And I was like, "Oh, did you go?" And he started crying.
Oh,
talking
wow.
about
what the experience was like for him.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just what we do.
Yeah. Well, the key is that you asked him a question. Yeah. And he was glad to have a set of ears and a willing heart to be able to tell his story, and that brought tears to his eyes.
Down there where the Western Auto is, before it was Boerne Radio, there was a radio station on that corner across from the bakery.
Okay.
Did you know that?
I don't know.
You don't believe me?
No, I'm not saying I don't believe you. I'm just saying I don't always know what I know when I need to know it.
That's great.
So it hadn't come back to me yet, but yeah.
All right, I'm digging that up for another episode here too. Okay. But there's a lot of great stories. My favorite one, I think I've told it on the air before, Mr. Ben Adams.
Okay, yes.
Was a kid riding his bike in front of the radio station.
Okay.
And the DJ in the glass goes, "Hey, there goes little Ben there, riding his bike across the street," and he, announced it on the radio. Well, he got in trouble with his mom because he wasn't supposed to be on that side of town.
Oh, classic.
She was listening in the kitchen. He got in trouble. Sorry, Ben.
Talk about immediate accountability by the community.
Yeah. Talk to me about, again, the First Baptist Church there on the other side of the creek.
Yeah. First, again, while we're here, there was Max Tice Grocery Store, and there was Bergman Lumber Company, and just kind of keep moving our way on down. And you just cross the bridge, the Cibolo Creek, and 2 blocks to your left is where the campus of First Baptist Church was. And so that's where many, many sacred memories there. And then where the campus is now located, my folks helped to donate the land for that. And then Arthur and Mary Esser also were co-owned that land with Dad and Mother. They helped with that. And so it's just been really fun to see that campus do the great ministry they are there. But part of what happened, Barry, for me, coming of faith really strong at age 11, with my friends who were members of all the churches in town, St. John Lutheran, St. Helena Episcopal Church, St. Peter Catholic Church, and Presbyterian Church, all the churches in town, we formed really fun, kind of friendly relationships with intra-church times together. Mm-hmm. But once a week, from middle school through high school, with friends and I would get together and talk about things spiritual. We talk about hormones and pressing issues of the day, but there was something about getting together, some special across any denominational lines. And so later, when I would learn words like an ecumenical, it really came out of just the practice of growing up here in Boerne.
Did you have a name for that circle of believers?
We didn't.
Okay.
We just said it was our spiritual prayer group.
Now thinking again, I have to ask you this just out of curiosity. So the Baptist church, again, you said just up from the creek.
Yeah.
Was there ever a baptism or two? When you, like after church, you'd go down into the creek and get baptized in the creek?
We did the baptisms. Good question. Not that I know of. Probably did, and I just didn't know about it.
Oh.
But we had a baptism in the church, like most Baptist churches do. But it was really a fascinating painting. And when I was a little boy, like before I went to school, I thought that was a real river that was flowing into the baptistry.
Oh, wow.
And so I was maybe like 6 or so, and I kind of peek around there. I thought, wait. Yeah.
And of course, the other famous story about that building, there was a young man came from Youth for Christ to speak.
Yeah, Billy Graham, late 40s maybe. And so First Baptist Boerne, along with the other churches in the community, have been part of the great legacy that have helped to shape Boerne be the community it was, mm-hmm. and the community that we are and that we can be in the future.
Was your father involved with that by chance?
My mother was very involved. She was a Sunday school teacher, and she was a church clerk, and she was a very active leader in the church. My father was a trustee in the life of the church, and so there were times when he was very involved, and there were times he took some steps back.
Tell us your parents' names.
Yeah, Gordon is my dad, and Jamie, my mom.
How did they get to Boerne?
1949. Dad had done like a lot of men. He did his time in World War II, fought in the Pacific, came back to Baylor University, finished his football and law school, and then he was married, 2 kids, and where's he going to work? So he learned that there was a county attorney position open in town, and so he applied, became the county attorney, later won the elections to go with that. And so his first office was actually in what we call the old courthouse as a county attorney.
Cool.
And then later they would build the buildings that are all around there.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
All right, I need you to do a whole book just on that stuff too.
Yeah. It's fun to talk Boerne with you.
All right, we'll have to do it again.
Okay, anytime. Hey, and whoever's listening, thank you for letting me be a part of your day by this conversation with my good friend Baron.
Well, the book is called Love as Holiness, Dare to Live It. Dr. Les Holland. How do we get this book?
Yeah, thanks. Amazon.
Okay.
So just type in my name, Leslie, Leslie, Holland, Hollon, and you've been kind enough to mention in the name of the book, Love is Holiness. Just put that into Amazon. It'll come up. And then you can buy it. It's $14 for the paperbacks, softback version, $24 for the hardback version. And Amazon will get it to you in a couple of days.
I've got a better idea, Les Holland.
Yeah.
How about we invite everybody right now on June the 2nd, that's a Tuesday afternoon, right here next door to our radio station here in the Richter building here. How about we host a book signing for you?
I like how your brain thinks. I think that'll be fun.
Get your book, get it signed by you. You personalize it just like you did for me. Thank you, sir.
So we'll be right here Tuesday, June the 2nd, and 4:30 to 6. We'll have refreshments here. And I'll do a brief reading as a part of that time, and be glad to sign books.
Again, Love as Holiness. Thank you for investing your whole life in collecting these stories. And I can't wait for the next 15 chapters because you've got the next 15 books because you've got more stories.
Thanks, Baron. Okay. Yeah.
Love is Holiness. Dare to live it. And again, we're asking you to support this great author, this great legacy, and maybe this could make a great gift for somebody who just needs some hope and to be inspired by love. Thank you, Les.